Hello there, everybody. Ready for some fun? Because it's Mardi Gras. No, actually, yeah, it is. But it's Testy Tuesday. Testy Tuesday. I'm going to see just how much you remember from the Sunday school story of Noah and the Ark. Noah and his Ark. How big was the Ark? How many cubits in length? No, that's not going to be the question. A little bit easier. I want you to tell me the names of the three sons of Noah who went on that ark. Okay? What's the names of those three sons? Were the names, I'll give you a couple choices here, Shem, Ham, and Japheth? Were they Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? Or were they Larry, Moe, and Curly? Okay? The names of the three sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, Larry, Moe, and Curly. Come on, you all know the answer to this one. It's the first thing, right? Curly, Moe, and Larry. No, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. But even though they were on the ark with their dad and their families, that's not the story that's going to be coming up this coming Sunday. The story that we have coming up this coming Sunday is what happens after the flood. Now they're off the ark, and God makes a promise. He makes a promise to Noah that he's never ever going to do this again. I mean, that's it. And there's a reason for this story that's in the scripture. And the reason why we do it on the first Sunday in Lent, too, it's all about covenant. It says God made a covenant with Noah. And we see in the Old Testament covenants all over the place, covenants being made between God and, well, we have Noah, one of the earliest covenants that were made, but then with Abraham, and then he'll make one with Moses, and right on down the line with David, and he makes covenants all over the place. But this is a very special covenant that he makes in this one. And this is what we need to focus on. The story of the flood and the destruction. I mean, you either come out in two ways with this, and generally there's two interpretations of the story. One is, oh, it's a cute story about a big boat and lots of animals, right? Isn't that the one we tell our kids? Oh, you can't forget the rainbow. We have that. So it's that's the Sunday school story that we have for our little kids, and it's too bad. It misses out on the real point. And another thing that it often deteriorates, as I would say, into is a discussion on what kind of a God are we worshiping? A God who just wants to wipe out every living thing on the earth. Who wants to worship a God like that? Well, none of us does. That misses the point of the story. The point of the story is God feels grieved in his heart. If you read the chapters just before chapter 9, we're reading from Genesis chapter 9 here, and just before that, God is so grieved in his heart that he can't bear to see the corruption that's been taking place on his earth. And he needs to start fresh. He needs a do over, so to speak. And that's what the flood story is. Now, the people, when they were in captivity in Babylon, they were subject to listening to the stories and the religious wranglings of the people of Babylon. And they had their own story of the flood. And their story of the flood was, oh, the gods, they're angry at the human beings, and the human beings are just way too overpopulated, so we just gotta wipe them out. So they wiped them out with a flood. And then after that, they said, you know what? We'll keep population in check by when the women have their babies, some of them be stillborn, some of the kids will die as infants. Just a really weird narrative altogether. And there's a lot of other things involved in their flood story. Whereas the Israelites said that's not the story behind the great flood. The story behind the great flood is God made an incredible covenant with us, with all human beings, not just with his people, with all human beings over the whole face of the earth, with all the animals too, domestic and wild. He made a covenant with the earth itself that he would never, ever destroy it again. And he did this cool thing. He took his bow, and common imagery in that Mesopotamian area was the gods had these bows in their hands that they used for warfare, especially to inflict pain upon the humans, the little peon humans down on the earth. And God, when they were done, they hung their bows up, right? God, Yahweh, the God of Israel, said, I'm done with this. I will never, ever do this again. And I will hang my bow up forever. And I will put it in the sky. And it'll be a reminder to me that, it's not happening again. No matter how bad things get, I won't destroy this earth. It's an incredibly beautiful story when you read it. And it's one that we can take in so many ways, wrong ways, if we're only looking at it through the eyes of what a destructive God we have. No, it's really, the story is just the opposite. It's what an incredible God, because he makes a covenant with the people and he doesn't ask a single thing from us. Now, later on, some of the covenant agreements he makes, yes, he does ask us, his people, to hold up our end of the bargain too, just as covenant agreements between nations back then required that. But this is one in which God said, hey, it's all on me. I'm the one responsible for this covenant. I will live up to it. And that covenant is, when I feel like letting you have it, I'm going to look up in that sky and I'm going to see that rainbow and let it be a reminder to me. We often think that the rainbow is a reminder to us, right, of how wonderful God is. And that's true. That's nothing wrong with that. And I hope you see that in a rainbow. But it's meant to be a reminder to God. Is God forgetful? No. He just needs to be reminded, I'm not doing that again to my people. This is a covenant that I am going to stick to forever and ever and ever. And doesn't he do that? And don't we see that culminating in a man hanging on a cross? God didn't hang Jesus on the cross. We hung him on the cross. Humanity hung him on that cross. And even then, God didn't zap the world. He didn't zap us into non-existence. He raised Jesus up so that you and I can be raised up in glory as well. Well, God's blessings be with you. Hopefully you pass the test, and hopefully you don't have a whole lot of snow to shovel out, but it's not looking too good, is it? God's blessings be with you.